Welcome to the marketing module. So this is just a brief overview as to what resources we've got available and the way the course will be structured. So we've got the first question is really about what reading you should do and what books you should use. Because it isn't a digital marketing course, it doesn't really matter in terms of having a really up-to-date book. If you want to buy one, the one that I've used that's quite a few years old now but is absolutely excellent is the Baines and Phil book. And you'll probably be able to buy that for pennies and just pay the postage. If you'd prefer to have an online book instead, then go on to Locate and then you'll under the library guides. So find library first of all, under library guides, go to the sales and marketing rather than business and management. And there are a couple of books there. Principles of marketing would be really good. And then for one of the learning outcomes, we focus on marketing communication. So you might want to have a look at that one. Just find a book that you enjoy and that you can read and you like the case studies in there and you find it user friendly. There are so many marketing books that if you haven't got one that you like, move on to another one very quickly. So the next thing I wanted to show you was just all the resources that I've created to make this module as good as it can be based on the fact it's online. So what I've done is I've chunked it down into little sections. So there is support for assessment 1 and support for assessment 2. So instead of having masses of slides, I've broken it down into smaller chunks based on the assessment criteria. So for the first, I've got a video on approaching the first assignment. I've got some slides on what to do, and I've even created a marketing plan template that you might use as a structure for your assignment. Then there's marketing concepts. That's really looking at learning assessment criteria 1, learning outcome 1, and that gives some information that you can use there. And I've done a screencast on that one as well. Segmentation is quite a big deal because that's about how you group customers together. So I've got some slides on how you do that and then an article from the Chartered Institute of Marketing on that. Marketing mix, that's quite fun, that is. And so there's quite a few case studies there from the Chartered Institute of Marketing and guidance in terms of marketing and the 7Ps. I've got marketing mix slides as well. And then I've got a few case studies in terms of how Parcel Force and how Nivea have done that. Moving on for assessment 1, we've got marketing communications as a key part of it as well. So I found a video from the Chartered, this time from the Chartered Management Institute, and that's about Shannon and Weaver's model, as well as my slides on marketing communications. Really there, what I need you to do is to find a campaign that suits with the company that you're looking at, and you can critique in line of thinking about the marketing communication channels. So you apply the model to it and you talk about how the campaign, whether it was effective or not. And then the final part for assessment 1 is we've got to look at customer value. So there's some slides on that, and then there's a couple of examples that are very much tailored to specific organisations on how they've added value. Really for that one, you need to look at how your organisation adds value and very much customise it, any of the learning there, and make it very specific and relevant to your organisation. So the first learning assessment, we've got 2 bookable dates for you to have one-to-one time. So either we can do that on Teams, we can do it on WhatsApp, FaceTime, whichever way, or the phone, whatever suits you. So please go onto Moodle and there's a schedule already for you to book your slots on there. And then the first assignment's due on the 22nd of May. If you can't make it, that's not a problem, but you need to contact registry directly as I can't give extensions. So if you think that's going to be an issue, do it in advance so it's not stressful. And if you can let me know, then I'll be able to book the marking into my diary when you've got a new date. Then for assessment 2, there's a little bit less material because actually we've covered a lot of it by then. So we've got a second, there's no screencast, you'll be glad to know, because you don't hear my dulcet tones, but there are slides on how to approach assessment 2. There's also some brand guideline examples. So there's a whole list of links to different brand guidelines if you haven't found any yet. And there's also a structure that I've put together for the second assignment. So that should help you in terms of finding, like if you're worried about how to put it together, that'll give you a framework. There's some slides on business to business marketing, which you've got to cover briefly, but not in a massive amount of depth. So there's some material on that and an article on it. And then branding. This is the key difference between the first and the second assignments, is bringing in this idea of how brands are developed. So there's some slides on that. There's some examples, and there's an article as well from Campaign Live, which is a really good source for branding. Again, we've got some time slots that we can meet and chat through your assignment remotely. So there's 2 dates for the first assignment, 2 dates for the second one, and if you want to book onto both of them, that's absolutely fine. So if you part way through and you want to have a catch up and see how you're getting on, and then the next week you do some more progress, that would be perfect. And it's July is the submission date for that, the second assignment. Again, contact registry if you need an extension. So hopefully that puts you in a strong position. I'm very sorry that we're not going to be doing this face to face, but that aside, let's make the most of the 4 bookable slots that you've got to get support on the materials. I've tried to put as much down there. I always create my slides as if people aren't going to come to the classes, just in case. So the materials created so it's self-directed, but please let's build in that support for you as well. Okay, thanks.